Hello my dear children, Namaste and welcome to another session of our Class 10 ICSE One Shot series. This is Ambika, Master Teacher of Biology at Vedantu. Okay, so we are well into human physiology in one shot, and today again we are going to be looking at another important chapter, which is your endocrine system. Yes, so remember, as I keep telling you, one-shot series are meant to be giving you all the information in that chapter in one single capsule, which means we will not be going into the fine details of every concept or every topic in the chapter. If at all there's any difficulty that you face with specific topics or specific concepts in the chapter, the playlist that you have to go to would be our Class 10 ICSE Biology playlist, wherein everything has been discussed well in detail. This chapter, I remember, we had discussed all the glands and the respective hormones and the disorders over 2 different sessions, which happened about a couple of months ago. So do check out the playlist and you will be able to get your concepts clear. So let us look at a positive quote as always before getting started. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. Something very, very simply said, but absolutely true and beautiful to think about, right? Said by Winston Churchill. So you decide for yourself whether you want to be the optimist or if you want to be the pessimist. Okay, so let's keep moving. Once again, reminding you about the Revise India camp, which has been happening, especially for Class 10 CBSE specific syllabus exclusively for your boards over 3 days. Today is going to be the last day, 20th, 21st and the 22nd of Feb, and our amazing teachers have been solving all your doubts without a break continuously. It's a plan over 72 hours of non-stop teaching and non-stop revision so that you get to give yourself an extra winning edge before your board exams get started. Okay, so in case you have not been part of it, do remember to join it. Register now. It's completely free of cost. So do make use of this wonderful opportunity. Okay, children, and let's get started with the chapter. Endocrine glands. We know that endocrine glands are specific glands in our body which secrete certain chemical messengers, right? What do we call them? We call them hormones. And where do they go? They go to specific target organs through the bloodstream. And because they secrete their hormones, because each endocrine gland secretes its hormone directly into the bloodstream, they do not need any tube or they do not need any duct, which is why we call them ductless glands. So endocrine glands, the basic feature of it is that it is a ductless gland. They are ductless glands. Okay, very, very important to remember. Exocrine glands, on the contrary, have ducts through which they pour in their secretions to the target places. But here, it's the bloodstream which carries it, and whichever target organ, whichever specific target organ needs it, it will take it up directly from the bloodstream. That's how the endocrine system works. So what is the importance? It is important because in one way, it supports the nervous system in terms of coordinating across your body, because electrical impulses alone will not be able to do the job, because of which chemical messengers are also there. They are much quicker in action as compared to nervous system, right? That is also super quick, but then chemical messengers, they do not have all that complexity of the pathway that an electrical impulse would follow in terms of like synapse and those neuromuscular junctions and things like that. No such delays would be there in this case. So both of them together in sync make us what we are, and they overall help in balancing our health in terms of maintaining our internal body equilibrium, which we call homeostasis. Okay, so this picture is just there to give you an idea, an overview about what glands we have to learn. Yes, of course, all of them are not there in your syllabus. Everything is not part of your syllabus. There's the pineal gland, which is, of course, there as an additional thing, but according to the 10th ICSE syllabus, you do not need to know that. If at all you want to know it, please do go back to our playlist chapter and watch the details. Hypothalamus and pituitary gland, of course, very, very important. Thyroid and parathyroid. Again, thyroid is what is there in your syllabus. Parathyroid, because it's closely associated with the thyroid gland, we've mentioned it here. And then thymus, and then the pancreas, adrenal glands, the testicles or the testes, and then in the case of females, all of them, and the difference would be the ovary and the placenta. Okay, so these are the major glands that you have to learn according to your syllabus. The best way, as I keep saying, to learn endocrine glands is by making a chart. I understand your textbook also has a chart which is pretty much describing everything in detail. It's actually summarizing everything you need, the details that you need about all of them in detail. What are the details you need? Definitely the name of the gland. The second column has to be the hormones it secretes. Third one would be the target organ, if at all it's important to understand that. But of course, more important than that would be to include the disorders because of undersecretion and oversecretion. That much has to be there in your table, which I think the SELINA publication textbook has a table like that. So do have a look and see if you want to add anything to it. Make a note of it in your textbook itself, or you can probably make a handwritten table, which is perhaps easier for you to understand, because in my personal opinion, handwritten notes are easier to remember and retain in your memory as compared to printed notes. Okay, so let's move ahead. The first one, which is the pituitary gland. We won't be discussing all the glands in so much detail, children, because pituitary gland, there are a lot of hormone names that you have to remember. I'm just keeping separate slides for them, and of course for the disorders also, but the remaining ones we'll just have an overview and we'll directly move on to the quiz. Okay, children. So this is the anterior pituitary hormones. Hormones secreted by the anterior pituitary. As you know, the pituitary gland has two major parts, the anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. Okay. And let's also remember that the pituitary gland is called the master gland because it stimulates the release of hormones by various other endocrine glands. But let's also keep in mind that the pituitary gland itself is under the control of another part of the brain, which is also an endocrine gland called the hypothalamus. Okay, but which is the master gland? It's the pituitary. The switch on off point of the master gland is the hypothalamus. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Hypothalamus and pituitary are both part of your brain. Okay, so in case you're asked a question like that, which name an endocrine gland which is part of your brain, the answer can either be pituitary gland or it can be hypothalamus. Okay, so moving ahead, these are the major hormones secreted by your anterior pituitary. What are they? The first and the most important one is the growth hormone, which we abbreviate as GH, either GH or HGH, which stands for human growth hormone. Okay, so that's the first one. What does it do? Of course, like the name tells you, it controls growth, right? So you can imagine under secretion and over secretion, what could it possibly lead to? Secondly, prolactin. Pro is stimulating or supporting, and lactin is something to do with milk. So what does it do? Its role is to promote and maintain lactation after childbirth, and it stimulates breast development, especially during lactation. This acts as a very, very important hormone. Okay, prolactin. Thirdly, ACTH or adrenocorticotropic hormone. It's tropic and not trophic. Okay, keep that in mind, children. TROPIC. Adrenocorticotropic hormone. Just like the name tells you, it regulates the activity of the adrenal cortex, which is the cortex of the adrenal gland. Okay, now the fourth one is your thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. Okay, TSH, what does it do? Like the name tells you, thyroid stimulating hormone. So it's the hormone which stimulates your thyroid gland. And what does your thyroid gland do? It is involved in controlling your overall metabolism, which we will see very soon. So that's its function. And then comes follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. Okay, so like the name indicates, again, it stimulates the follicles. What follicles? The follicles in your gonads, because of which the ovarian follicles are stimulated to produce estrogen, and sperm development gets stimulated in the case of males or men. Okay, so that is follicle stimulating hormone. And finally, luteinizing hormone. Take care of the spelling, and it's abbreviated as LH. Again, it initiates ovulation and maintains corpus luteum, which means it's very, very important in maintaining pregnancy. And then it also regulates testosterone production in males. So FSH and LH, both of them are important in both males and females performing their respective functions. Okay, children. So once again, growth hormone, prolactin, ACTH, TSH, FSH and LH. So in general, we call all of these, this is a growth hormone, it's just called the growth hormone. But what about the others? Because they are involved in stimulating other parts of your body, other endocrine glands or other parts of your body, we call them tropic hormones. Okay, tropic hormones. So keeping that in mind, let's now move ahead and recall what the posterior pituitary does. This is very, very simple. Just two hormones that you need to remember, oxytocin and vasopressin. Vasopressin, also called ADH or anti-diuretic hormone. Now I remember in one of our previous sessions, we did discuss a question which had diuresis as a term. Diuresis is the condition wherein there is too much of urine elimination, too much of dilute urine elimination happening. So anti-diuretic hormone, what does it do? It reverses that in the sense there is a lot of reabsorption of water happening as a result of ADH secretion. Water retention by the kidney tubules is what, as the name indicates, ADH is involved in. The only thing you need to remember is that the other name for ADH is vasopressin. Okay, ADH is also called vasopressin. And oxytocin, this is its abbreviation. But what does the oxytocin do? Oxytocin is involved in triggering uterine contractions during childbirth or parturition. Okay, so labor or parturition is the last stage of pregnancy when the baby is pushed out of the mother's uterus, and that is initiated by the hormone called oxytocin, the details of which we have learnt in the chapter of reproductive system. So for now, just remember this is the function of it, and both of these, what is secreting them? They are secreted by the posterior pituitary gland. Okay, and with that, let's move ahead. Coming to the disorders. The anterior pituitary disorders and the posterior pituitary disorders. Anterior pituitary disorders, as the name indicates. Now, children, the best way to remember these is by remembering the expansion of each of these hormones. Growth hormone, like the name indicates, if you do not have enough growth hormone, what would happen? During childhood, if there is an under-secretion of such a hormone, it would result in dwarfism. And it could also lead to lethargy, premature aging, and so on and on and on. But these are the major disorders caused by under-secretion of growth hormone. What if there is too much growth hormone secreted? Or too much growth hormone, what could it do? Too much growth, uncontrolled growth, or excessive growth, as we can say, which means gigantism in the case of a child. Acromegaly in the case of an adult, wherein the jaws get projected too much to the front. Okay, so these are examples of disorders caused by the growth hormone. And then, of course, for all of them, there are respective diseases. ACTH, it's the adrenal corticotropic hormone. Again, as I said, you must remember the expansion of the hormone so that it's easier for you to guess what disorders can possibly be caused because of them. Okay, so Cushing's disease and Addison's disease in this case, increased and decreased levels respectively. And then TSH, if there is too much of TSH, goiter can be caused. And then there is also Graves' disease and then increased metabolism of the body because your thyroid becomes overactive. And then the opposite, decreased levels of TSH can lead to an underactive thyroid, which means decreased metabolism, and it can cause cretinism in children. Okay, and then prolactin, amenorrhea in the case of increased levels, and too little milk in the case of decreased level, because prolactin, as I said, supports lactation. So if it's not secreted in the right amounts, it can cause very, very less milk to be secreted during lactation in a female after delivery. And then FSH, We know follicle stimulating, so something to do with your ovarian and testicular follicles. So late puberty, infertility can be the results. And then LH, menstrual cycle disturbance, if there is an increased level and if there is a decreased level, amenorrhea and impotence in the case of males. Okay, so there we go. This is a table basically summarizing the anterior pituitary disorders or the disorders caused by over-secretion and under-secretion of the anterior pituitary hormones. Okay, and once again, children, let me tell you, this can be a little, like, for example, Cushing's disease, Addison's disease, goiter, Graves' disease, all these terms can be a little confusing. The only way is to keep telling yourself what exactly they are. Connect the name of the disorder to a particular symptom that it causes. It can be a very, very crazy, weird connection that you create. Nobody is going to know that. As long as you are able to recall the correct answer at the time of the exam, that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. Everything is your own secret. Okay. So to know more about this, as I said, watch the chapter in the biology playlist. Okay. So let's move ahead. Posterior pituitary disorders, oxytocin and vasopressin. If there is an increased and decreased level secreted respectively, what happens? Oxytocin, if there is too much of oxytocin released, there would be early childbirth can happen because labor is induced earlier, and then excess milk can also be produced because uterine contractions are associated with lactation in the case of pregnant females. And if there is a decreased secretion of oxytocin, prolonged childbirth and then diminished milk production can be the results. Now coming to the second one, which is ADH or vasopressin. Now keep in mind, children, there's only one S. I'm sorry for the typo there. It's not a double S. Okay, vasopressin. So what happens when there is too much ADH? I said anti-diuretic hormone. Antidiuresis. What happens? Kidney water retention by the kidney tubules, right? That is its function. So if there is too much, it means decreased urinary output because the kidney tubules are retaining too much of water. But if there is an excess ADH secretion, there is increased urine output or dilute urine which is secreted, which I told you is called diuresis. Okay, so these are the disorders of the pituitary, the anterior and posterior pituitary hormones respectively. Now I suggest again adding the disorders as two different columns to your complete table is the best way. Okay, I did not want to overcrowd our slides because I wanted everything to be visible to you on screen. That is why I have made separate tables, but for your ease of revision, one single table is what works best. Okay, so now let me tell you the overview of the other glands. What are they? Thyroid, as you can see, the thyroid gland is somewhere present in your neck region, somewhere around your neck region. The major hormones it secretes are the thyroxine hormone and calcitonin. Calcitonin, of course, is not part of your syllabus, but it's there in your textbook. It's just mentioned there. So, as I told you, the main function of the thyroid gland is to regulate your metabolism. Okay, and then parathyroid, again, which is not part of your syllabus, but just there as an additional information. And then the endocrine part of pancreas. Remember, pancreas is one gland of your body which can act as both exocrine and endocrine gland. Okay, exocrine because it secretes pancreatic juice functioning in digestion, whereas the endocrine part, which we call the islets of Langerhans, has three major types of cells which secrete three major hormones. What are they? Insulin, glucagon and somatostatin. Insulin, glucagon again being the more important ones. Insulin, as we know, like I told you, I remember when I taught you this concept, I told you if there are elders in your family who are diabetic, you must have probably seen them taking insulin injections by themselves. Why do they do that? Obviously, if a diabetic person, a diabetic patient has to take insulin injections, it is to reduce glucose levels. That is exactly what it does. It reduces your blood sugar levels. And then glucagon does the opposite, which means when there is too less blood sugar in your body, when there is very little sugar levels in your blood, it tries to increase it by breaking down other stored reserves of carbohydrates. Okay, that is glucagon. Basically, both of them are complementary and antagonistic, as we can call it. insulin and glucagon. Okay, both together in sync help in keeping your blood sugar levels balanced. And somatostatin is again another type of hormone secreted by the delta cells of your endocrine part of pancreas, but again, that's just additional information. And then coming to your gonads, which are testes and ovaries. The testes would produce testosterone, which is the male sex hormone. What does it do? Of course, sperm cell production and also secondary male sexual characters. Likewise, in females, estrogen, mainly it's estrogen, which stimulates egg maturation and also helps in female secondary sexual characters development. Progesterone is another important hormone, which is, however, more important when it comes to pregnancy. It prepares the uterus to receive a fertilized egg, and then it's always there until the end of pregnancy. Maintenance of pregnancy is what progesterone mostly helps in. Okay. And then coming to the adrenal hormones, the adrenal cortex and the adrenal medulla. Adrenal cortex secretes one very, very important hormone of our body, which is called epinephrine, also called adrenaline. Yes, and it also secretes its antagonistic hormone, which is called norepinephrine or noradrenaline. What does it do? Stimulates the fight or flight response in times of emergency. When you encounter a snake, when you encounter a tiger, you just need to get that state of mind that reflects to run from it so that your body can escape from it. You yourself can escape that situation. Who gives you that instinct? It is your adrenaline, which will give you all that reflex, fight or flight response. And then adrenal medulla. It secretes the glucocorticoids, the mineralocorticoids and the sex corticoids. Glucocorticoids, which is again part of the stress response. Aldosterone is an example for your mineralocorticoids, and there are the sex corticoids, which is mainly the testosterone. Again, keep in mind, testosterone is a hormone which is, in the sense, the sex corticoid, which is secreted in both males and females, but in females, of course, in lesser levels as compared to males. Okay, so that's about an overview of all your endocrine glands. Also keep in mind, children, all of these hormones, all of these glands have their respective disorders that you must remember, and definitely they are not as difficult as the pituitary hormones to remember. The pituitary hormones, the list of hormones and the disorders are a little more complex because of the length of the list, but never mind, as long as you are able to master that, these will definitely be very, very simple for you. Okay, and one more thing we need to know in this chapter is the negative feedback mechanism of hormones. What controls the hormonal secretion? Now, basically, as I told you, your pituitary gland is your master gland, which hence controls or stimulates the release of hormones by many other endocrine glands, most other endocrine glands. But again, the master gland itself, let me write master gland here. Master gland, okay? The master gland itself has a switch on off point, which is the hypothalamus. So what does the hypothalamus do? The hormones, a set of hormones or the type of hormones the hypothalamus releases are what we call the releasing hormones. Okay, the releasing hormones, it secretes a releasing hormone, and that goes and activates the pituitary gland to secrete the respective stimulating hormone. We call it stimulating hormone. For example, to make it easier for you, let me give you an example. Hypothalamus releases what is called the TRH, the thyroid releasing hormone. What does it do? TRH goes and tells the pituitary gland, release TSH. Okay, release thyroid stimulating hormone. So this one says, okay, yes boss, I shall release TSH. What is TSH? It's thyroid stimulating hormone. So TSH very diligently and very sincerely goes to its target gland, which would be the thyroid gland in this case. Okay? And then what does it do? It stimulates the thyroid gland to release its respective hormones. What are they? Say for instance, it is thyroxine in this case. Okay, so thyroxine levels are increasing in your bloodstream. When there is enough thyroxine released in your blood, it gives that feedback back to your pituitary. Thyroxine is like, okay, pituitary, I have made myself in enough quantities. My gland has secreted me in enough quantities. So now you can switch it off. You don't have to stimulate my gland anymore, which is what this is. This feedback inhibits the release of hormone 2, which is TSH in this case. And also it gives a negative feedback to the main hormone here, the releasing hormone here, which is TRH. It goes and tells hypothalamus also. There also, this way also, it's giving a negative feedback. When this hormone, in simple words, this is how it is. When enough hormones have been secreted in your bloodstream, whoever stimulated and started off that chain, which is definitely the hypothalamus and pituitary, they would be notified. This hormonal levels would give them the message, okay, stop giving activation or stimulating and release signals so that more of me doesn't get produced. Okay, this is what we mean by the negative feedback mechanism of hormones. And this is the basic understanding with which our endocrine system works. And there we go. We have come to the end of the summary of this chapter. And before proceeding to the quiz, let me remind you, these are people you can take inspiration from. You really must get inspired by them because they are our toppers from ICSE 2019 Class 10, children who studied with Vedantu and came out with amazing results. You can definitely be there, and we are always here to support you. Through the Fast Track series, definitely you've been seeing all four of us, Abhishek sir, Anubha ma'am, myself and Gopal sir. In case you've missed out on sessions of the Fast Track series, please do go to the playlist of ICSE Fast Track and have a look at all of them. All your chapters from these four major subjects have been covered in that. Okay, because question answer discussion was definitely something we thought will help you boost your preparation, boost your confidence levels before your board exam starts. Okay, and with that, let's get started with the quiz. Very first question. Cretinism is caused by a deficiency of dash, TSH, GH, LH or ACTH. Cretinism. Okay. This is where I think the technique that I told you, like creating stories in your mind for the hormone, for the disorder it causes, will definitely come in handy, because suddenly when you look at the table, you think you know everything. When a question is asked from you, from somewhere in between, from some nook and corner, you're like, okay, I'm confused now. That shouldn't happen. Okay, so your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is TSH. What is TSH? Thyroid stimulating hormone. Now, another reason you must know all of this in detail is such questions can come as part of your 5-mark questions in section B, which means some situation or some scenario may be given to you and you may be asked. The first question could possibly be, name the hormone whose deficiency leads to this condition. And the second question could possibly be, which pituitary gland secretes this hormone? So what would you say? TSH, it's easy to think that it's secreted by the thyroid, but just use your common sense a little bit. If you get such a thought, thyroid stimulating hormone. Who stimulates the thyroid? It can't be the thyroid itself. It is your pituitary. So pituitary gland secretes TSH. Okay, moving ahead. Which of these is not secreted by the thyroid gland? Is it TSH, T3, T4, calcitonin? I've just told you the answer a few seconds ago, so definitely you shouldn't be going wrong this time. Okay, so your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is TSH, which is secreted by your pituitary and not by your thyroid. Okay, now next one. Which of these are antagonistic hormones? Testosterone and estrogen, insulin and glucagon, GH and FSH, or oxytocin and vasopressin? Antagonistic hormones. What does it even mean? Think of that. I remember telling you the answer to this in today's session. Those of you who paid complete attention would definitely know the answer. Your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is insulin and glucagon. What is antagonistic? Opposite to each other. Okay, so levels which are opposite to each other, in the sense effects which are opposite to each other. Insulin lowers blood sugar levels, glucagon increases blood sugar levels. Okay, now going ahead to the next one. Diabetes insipidus is caused due to undersecretion of which of these? Is it oxytocin, vasopressin, insulin, or ACTH? Okay, diabetes insipidus. Let's see who remembers all this. Your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone. Okay, diabetes insipidus. What about insulin? Undersecretion of insulin causes another form of diabetes, which is the more common form, called diabetes mellitus. Okay, now which of these is caused by an increase in ACTH? Addison's disease, cretinism, acromegaly, or Cushing's disease? Increase in ACTH. Okay, what is ACTH? What can it possibly cause? I mean, the expansion of ACTH. So what does it affect? Okay, that is what you need to know. So your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is Cushing's disease. Okay, adrenal-corticotropic hormone or adrenocorticotropic hormone is what the expansion of ACTH is. Now, another question. Insulin is secreted by which of these? Alpha cells of pancreas, beta cells of pancreas, delta cells of pancreas, or is it all of these? Insulin. Yes, your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is beta cells of pancreas. Alpha cells of pancreas would secrete glucagon, beta cells secretes insulin, and delta cells secrete somatostatin. Okay, and there we go. Well done, children. You can clap for yourselves proudly because we are done with another very important chapter of your syllabus in one shot. So congratulations to all of you. Once again, proudly sharing our 2019 amazing results. We've managed to get some amazing results from children who studied with us in 2019. The CBSE 12th, CBSE 10th, ICSE 10th and also KVPY scholarship and PRMO. So congratulations to all of them, and definitely they are here to inspire you, because this year, the next few months are again going to be very, very crucial for you. Definitely the next couple of months will be very, very important to you, at least the next 40-45 days. And let me remind you, we are always here to support you, children. So you are not in this journey alone. Okay, anything and everything that you need as much as possible in the form of different question answer discussions, different series, we've been trying to give you maximum support, and we will continue to give you the same kind of support. And once again, reminding you about the Revise India camp, which is the free revision camp that's been happening. Today is going to be the last day, Feb 20th, 21st and 22nd. As you can see, our amazing teachers have been working very hard to give you continuous 72 hours of non-stop doubt solving support and a thorough revision of all your subjects, your entire syllabus. So definitely make use of it, especially CBSE children, if you haven't been part of this yet. Okay, and here is a list of the complete biology playlist of your ICSE 10th. As I said, endocrine glands. We've discussed everything in detail, and you will find the videos for that. There are 2 videos for that, which you will find in this playlist. And here is the diagram series again from this chapter. Diagram based questions are possible, so do check this out also. And yes, the fast track series, where you will find all the major subjects, physics, chemistry, biology and math, for which we've been doing the fast track series question answer discussions, mainly to give you an idea about the question patterns from past year and the current year's syllabus. Okay, so do have a look at those also. Students Corner again, I'm assuming a lot of you have been following me. Some of you may not know what Students Corner is. So this is basically a playlist where you can find all kinds of motivation related videos. I've been making a lot of them according to your needs, according to what you guys have been asking me. And thank you so much for all the wonderful love and support, children. Do remember that this playlist has almost an entire list of anything, any exam related or any general question, anxiety related, timetable related or time management related or just general motivation, anything and everything you can think of, because that is also equally important for you in the exam season, right? So do have a look at that also. And of course, if you have enjoyed this video and found it useful, please do remember to hit the like button right now. Share it with all your ICSE friends, children, because ICSE children are going to find this very, very useful. Within 30 minutes, within less than half an hour, we have done a complete revision of your chapter Endocrine System, right? And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do remember, subscribe to the channel Vedantu 9 and 10. Hit the subscribe button right now, because until your exams are done, we will keep coming up with a lot of creative content. Yes, and as always, I am always there for your support. So in case you want to ask me anything specific, you can either post it in the comment section below or send me an email at ambika.gopalakrishnan@vedantu.com. Okay, children? So keep studying hard, keep motivated, stay motivated, keep yourself motivated and in high spirits all the time. Until we meet again, this is Ambika signing off. Bye-bye.